Hey, everybody, and welcome back. We're here with another one of our retailer to publisher webinars or publisher to retailer webinars, whichever direction you're looking at from a perspective. I'm your host, Scott Morris. I am the Director of Business Development for Gaming for GTS Distribution, which is the really long and fancy way of saying I'm the board game guy. And we're here with one of our biggest and best partners. I'm joined by Kim Colella, who is the Director of Sales for Thames and Kosmos. Most everybody here probably has heard or carries Thames and Kosmos. They have one of the most successful lines of games in the Exit series, which we'll touch on here. But they are much more than just that. They are a company that I've always said has kind of have something for every type of gamer, whether you're a family or a casual gamer, or whether you're a strategy or a deep narrative gamer, or you're like a puzzle game or anything like that. There's a lot of different things that are available for them. But I don't want to steal too much thunder because my face was made for radio and I'm not the person that you came here to listen to. So I'm going to let Kim take over, start talking about some of the awesome things that she has to share with y'all, and we'll kind of work in some questions as we go. So Kim, thank you very much for joining. Also, as a quick reminder, retailers, you're probably watching this on YouTube right now. If you have questions, definitely feel free to leave them below. We'll be happy to get back to you with any kind of answers. Of course, you can always reach out to your GTS sales rep at any time. And by all means, if you're feeling exceptionally awesome, feel free to subscribe to our channel so that you know about notifications when new webinars go live. So, Kim, I will be quiet. The floor is all yours, my friend. Thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, thank you, Scott. What a wonderful introduction. And thanks to you all for joining us today. I know it's very, very busy time of year. So we'll use today's time to give you a brief overview of everything that's coming in 2022, since we sadly won't see anybody at Toy Fair this year, but we hope that this will be the next best thing. And like Scott said, if you've got any questions, feel free to reach out at any time. So like Scott said, many of you are probably likely familiar with Thames and Kosmos, but for those of you who aren't, just a brief summary of who we are and what we do and how we strive to be a good partner. Our company actually grew out of a science museum store, so educational value is at the core of what we do always. Our ultimate goal is to publish fun, educational, hands-on products that help kids and adults become better learners. We want to challenge them to encourage them to exercise things like language comprehension and problem solving and dexterity and critical thinking and teamwork and all those really important things that are so essential to a successful learning experience. So, hopefully what we're about to show you today will check all those boxes. So let's see. Just a couple of things that set us apart. So first and foremost, one of the main things that sets us apart is our long history in the board game industry. Our parent company, Kosmos, which I'm sure needs no introduction, has over 50 years experience in publishing board games, both in Europe, the European and the North American markets. So it's allowed us to form really great partnerships with some of the most prestigious authors, designers, and editors in the industry. It's also given us access to a well-established logistics and supply chain, which not only helps increase our production capacity, but ultimately helps you stay better and stocked. And the last couple of years have not been out without their challenges, but hopefully we've been doing an okay job at keeping the inventory flowing and keeping product on the shelves for you. We try to use quality materials. It's also really important to us. We believe the durability and the touch and feel of the components can really elevate a game from, a dust collector to an evergreen title. And so we always try to choose the best materials for that particular gameplay. So, sometimes this means using linen cardstock over just regular paper or laser cut wood pieces instead of plastic. But playing games is so tactile, and we want to enhance that experience as much as we can. As you'll soon see as we get into the product, we take a more long tail view at our product development. We invest a lot of time and energy in developing brands that are, sort of going to take root and continue to grow and evolve over 3, 5, 10 years down the line. The Exit series is a great example of this. But we want to make sure that even though the titles come and go, the brand itself stays strong and you've always got something to come back to. And then sort of last but not least is our top-notch customer service and tech support. So, this goes to whether or not you have any problems with the games themselves, if you're missing anything, if anything, is not in the box when you open it or anything like that for both you or your customers. We've got a full-time tech support team that's ready to, play games alongside of you or, problem solve and troubleshoot. And then we also have a really great collection of marketing resources and training materials to help both your store staff and your customers learn how to play the games faster and easier, and hopefully help you make that sale. So that includes anything from product specific websites to demo sheets to high-res images, videos, in-store signage. I mean, you name it, and that catalog keeps growing and growing.
Yeah, the two things that I wanted to kind of point out on that. So videos, we actually use a lot of the videos that Thames and Kosmos has on our product pages. So as you're searching around GTS distribution site, you can see a lot of those videos like embedded in the product pages. But one of the biggest things over the last year has been availability, and been one of the biggest challenges in the industry. And Thames and Kosmos has really not been bitten by this. And it's something that we've talked about a couple of times in the past on some of the webinars we've had Thames and Kosmos on, but it's always good to kind of go back to. Over the last year, the shipping and logistics world inside the board game industry has just been turned on its head, like completely upside down. And apart from the costs and the time lengths, it's been a lot of just logistical challenges for everybody. And Thames and Kosmos, while they've had a few kind of maybe week or 2 week kind of delays on some things, there's never been anything that's been like drastically out of whack or anything that has really kind of slowed things up, which has been a tremendous boon, both for us on the distribution side and then for retailers as well in their stores. Because honestly, with the demand being as high as it is right now, availability is king, right? Having that product and being able to restock that product and get it in is a very, very important thing. So, Kosmos is a global company. It's not just a US company. They are very large. They have a lot of backing. So that's something that when I always tell retailers, lean into the brands first and the games second. That's part of the branding of Thames and Kosmos, is that they've got a huge established supply chain that helps them keep stock of the product, which helps us keep stock of the product, which helps you keep stock of the product and selling more games. So that's all very, very good stuff. So
that's the dream.
That's right. That's right.
All right, so now the fun part, the product. This brand needs no introduction. The Exit series continues to grow. It's probably one of the most successful series we've ever had in the company's history. This whole series of games is an escape room in a box. It brings that same cooperative problem-solving, experience of an actual escape room into your own home. So you can play with a glass of wine and in your comfy clothes and still have just as much fun. We have about 20 titles now on the line, and it continues to grow. These are all card-based games, so you don't need any apps or software or anything like that, but we do have a companion app for these that enhance the experience. They'll offer ambiance music or timers or things like that, so you don't necessarily need the app, but it's just another way of really creating that whole experience. And the other thing to point out about these games is that they're one-time use, because there may be some manipulation of the components required. And plus, once you solve the riddles, it's sort of a one and done. It's a very linear experience. But that's why there's so many of them. We hope that you try one and you come back for more. So one of the new releases for this year is a really exciting licensing partnership with we have Lord of the Rings. There is a new TV series that's set to premiere on Amazon Prime later this year. It's a huge deal. They've thrown tons of money into the show. So there's going to be a lot of visibility and marketing that hopefully we can draft off of. But yeah, this is your classic Exit game, but with the Lord of the Rings storyline integrated into it. And our product development team, who has been making dozens of these, feel like this is probably the best example of a narrative or storyline weaving sort of seamlessly into the gameplay. So we're really excited for this. Obviously, it's a beloved franchise paired with a best-selling line of games. We have high hopes. And so this is,
and no spoilers for the TV show are included.
No
right?
spoilers. No. I mean, it sort of, without spoiling it, it follows Frodo, who is the main Hobbit from the movies. and the Fellowship as they try to make their way to Mordor. So
there's a couple of things I want to point out for retailers on this, because when I see products, I get read into products a lot earlier than things get announced and stuff, and I'll see things that I immediately start to think of, okay, what's good from a retailer's perspective, what's good little details that will help separate this and make it different from other things. There's a couple of things that are really interesting. So obviously the license is huge, right? Everyone knows who Lord of the Rings is. I kind of feel like at this point, like if you walk into a hobby game store and you don't know what Lord of the Rings is, it's either your first time walking into a hobby game store or someone's brought you and dragged you in there or something like that, because
you're lost.
it's such a big thing. It's like Star Wars, it's like Marvel, it's like the top of the heap when it comes to licensing. But all the exit games have novice or expert levels. And you'll notice in the lower left of the box there's little pips. The more pips there are, the more expert level the game is. And to make a game like this, if you were to have over-indexed on the expert side, it might actually put some people off. Whereas, because this is such a broad license that someone could walk in and maybe they're not into puzzle games, or maybe they're not into escape room games at first, but they see something like this and they love the IP, they take it home, and you want them to have a good experience. The experience is the entire key with getting people to come back and buy more of these. So I think it was a really smart thing by Thames and Kosmos to make it that 2 pip where you see at the bottom closer to novice than closer to expert. I think that's really, really smart. And I know this is going to sound stupid, but this is just the way my brain thinks about things from a perspective of like merchandising stuff. But that ring, the One Ring, is so synonymous with the Lord of the Rings. I mean, that's like the center focal point of all the storyline and everything. It would have been so easy for Thames and Kosmos to just put the ring on the cover and leave it as that. But having the dragon and Smog's like visage in there in the ring is very dynamic looking, and something that when you face these out, whether you have the exit floor display or whether you're just putting them on your shelf, is just going to look sharper. So it's silly little details like that that may go unnoticed at first, but really make a big difference down the road. So
Yeah, absolutely. And then so we have what the next, sorry, whoops, spoiler alert, sorry.
We just said no spoilers, right?
The second classic exit game that we've got coming out is Return to the Abandoned Cabin. So, many of you might remember one of the first 3 exit games that came out 5 years ago was The Abandoned Cabin. It quickly became one of the best-selling titles. It still is, even though it's one of the oldest titles in the series. And it was part of the series that won the Spiel des Jahres that following summer in 2017. So in honor of its 5th anniversary, we are coming out with a sequel or follow-up called The Return to the Abandoned Cabin. So you're sort of meeting the same sorts of characters, going back to the same environments, but it's a whole new experience. So you don't have to have played the first one to play the second one, but it's sort of a little wink and a nod to the fans of the Exit brand that may remember where it all began. So we have also a series of exit games that incorporate jigsaw puzzles. So this was a new initiative that we started last year. And this is going to be the 3rd exit game with jigsaw puzzles. This is called Nightfall Manor. It's got, as you can probably tell, a vampire theme, a little bit more of a spooky, sinister theme. But just like exit games, you're still working with a group of people to solve riddles and sort of work your way towards the end of the storyline. But instead of using the cards that come in the classic games, you're actually assembling 4 88-piece jigsaw puzzles, which once assembled will reveal an image or your clues that will indicate what your next move should be or could be. So, this is a really great opportunity to sort of introduce people who are squarely, puzzle purists, squarely in the puzzle, section of your store, help them wander over maybe to the game section and vice versa, and introduce the Exit brand to, some non-traditional escape room gamers.
And again, really small detail that's really important. I know a lot of retailers have the exit floor display that you'll put the games into and line them up and restock them with. The fact that the puzzles, the 2 that were released last year and then this new one, Nightfall Manor, are actually horizontal instead of vertical boxes, gives it that physical optical difference to a consumer that, oh, this is not the normal exit game that I'm used to looking at. This is something different. That's a really good thing from a marketing perspective as well. These did tremendously well for us last year, and I think tremendously well for most of our retailers. So no shock and no surprise. I remember when the Deserted Lighthouse was kind of brought out, and people were like, "Well, are there going to be more?" And I always replied, and I told retailers, "Yeah, you sell a lot. I'm sure they'll make more." Right? So clearly, it obviously did very well.
Supply and demand, they did, yeah. And the merchandising piece of it is really important. I'm glad you brought that up, Scott, because we really, try to design our boxes with retailers in mind. What's it going to look like in the shelf? What if something goes out of stock? How easily can we, swap in, swap out? So these boxes are actually the same footprint and facing as two of the smaller classic exit games. So it's when you have got them all on the shelf, they'll all be the same height. It looks good. It's consistent visually. And we could, like I said, we could always, swap in and swap out if something goes in and out of stock. So exciting for this year, brand new, our exit advent calendars. So this was a SKU that our partners in the UK have been carrying, and we started seeing it show up in the US market as an import item and retailing for, $20, $30 more than what we've got the retail set at. And so we had an opportunity to bring the one that was in the UK last year, in addition to the new SKU that's brand new for everyone that's coming out later this year. So these are escape room games combined with an advent calendar. It's basically a 24-day escape room. So each day, each door reveals a new clue, a little puzzle that you need to solve. And they take about, anywhere between 5 and 15 minutes. So it's pretty substantial playtime, but you've got basically little exit games for 24 days that you can play, and, still staying true to that exit brand, all the things that we love and know about those exit games, the same riddles, the same cooperative spirit, the same, sort of storylines integrated. These are going to be a quick ship, so sort of an in and out program. We're hopefully going to be starting to ship around July and then be done by October.
Yeah, and that goes back to the whole supply chain piece, right? When you think about the timing of things like this, you want that to be available in Q4, from like October forward for retailers to be able to sell. So it really, really good timing on stuff like that. I know probably the first thing, if I'm a retailer, and the first thing I think of when I see these two, the first question that comes to mind is the picture in the lower right kind of looks like the North Pole, a little bit like ski hill kind of thing. Are these actually like themed towards Christmas type or holiday type themes, or is it just more wintry, or how does that work into the thematic?
Not necessarily. They're definitely not Christmassy.
Okay.
Although, the top SKU, the Mystery of the Ice Cave, is, definitely set in a winter environment, but okay. the new one, the Hunt for the Golden Book, is not. So, I would say the only seasonal aspect of this is the advent calendar portion.
Gotcha. Right. I still argue that the Lego advent calendars really don't have anything to do with the holidays. It's just about selling more Lego, right? So,
right. I mean, you've got advent calendars for everything these days. So
yeah, this was a high demand though. I mean, last year when the Mystery Ice Cave was kind of announced in the UK, there was a lot of retailers in the US that were asking for it. So I'm sure this is going to be something that'll do very, very well for this holiday season. And the fact that we're doing pre-orders now, ordering in the summer to late summer to right at the beginning of fall, so that these are available to have in front of consumers leading in. You're not getting them December 1st going, hey guys, you need to get this and get started right now. Like, that's a very important thing.
So then sort of tangential to the exit series, we have a series of games called adventure games, which are sort of more akin to Choose Your Adventure. They're much more story-based, but it's still a cooperative game where you and your teammates make choices and work together to decide where you're going to explore, what objects you're going to pick up, what people you're going to talk to. What's really great about this, though, is that each character sort of has control over the individuals. You're still working as a team, but you can go off and explore one room while your teammates are over here. And so in that regard, there's a lot of sort of open-ended play to it. These games you could probably play about 3 to 4 times with the same group. Depending on which choices you make, you'll have different outcomes. But even so, I've played these games, even though I sort of know how it ultimately ends. I play with different groups of people, and there's sort of limitless ways that you can get there. A lot of different pathways depending on which characters you're playing and what choices you make. So this is the 5th installment of that series. It's got more of a crime noir twist. So this one is definitely sort of more of a detective feel, as you can sort of glean from the title, The Gloom City File. But yeah, these are following sort of the same trajectory as the exit games. So anybody who likes exit games most likely likes the adventure games. It's got very simple rules, easy to learn, easy to play, and basically anybody can jump in and just start playing. Next up, we have a game called Red Cliff Bay Mysteries, which is also a cooperative crime thriller game, but with a double-sided board. So it's sort of like an adventure game, but on an actual game board. It's for 1 to 5 players, so you can work together as a team of detectives to decide how your investigation moves forward. What's really cool about this is it actually has 4 different cases in the box, and each case takes about 60 minutes to complete. So you got a 4-hour playtime here. And again, just like the adventure games, it's got really simple rules and game mechanics. So it can sort of level set. You don't need to be an experienced gamer to play these games. And it's also sort of really nice for family game night because it's a cooperative game. You can get younger kids involved if you've got some older folks or older players that can help.
Yeah, I think the important thing about that is this is not like exit Diet Coke, right? Like it's a completely different experience, but it's one that's very broad. And if you wanted to play with family, you wanted to play, like I always say, play with your grandkids or play with your grandparents, right? It gives you that options to kind of go, forward and backward. It kind of feels a little Harry Potterish, like just the, kind of the look of it and everything like that. The fonts and things like that. But I love that this is colorful looking, right? It's very bright. It's something that kind of has that teaser of like the guy is lifting up the curtain on the front. So it's like gives you that reason to kind of pick up the box and look at it and check things out in the back and everything. So again, really, really smart ideas.
Thanks. All right, next up is a game called Switch and Signal, which is another cooperative family-friendly game with a train theme. So in this game, you are working with your teammates to build the most efficient network of trains that run at different speeds and basically get goods to where they need to be as fast as possible, sort of like, life imitating art, or art imitating life right now, because that's what all we're doing all day long is getting those goods as fast as we can to where they need to be. But it starts off pretty slow as you sort of set your strategy, but then once those trains start rolling, the game picks up pretty quickly, and you'll see soon enough whether or not your network is successful or not. But again, this one has really simple rules and it's easy to learn. You can jump right in, and it's also got a really nice double-sided board game. So it's got a little bit of a variant inside. You could either play a map of North America, or you could flip it over and play Europe, map of Europe.
Train games never go out of style.
It's a classic train game.
Yeah, everyone always jokes and says, zombies never die, but the reality is trains just keep on rolling. So
I'm gonna use that one. I like that one.
There you go.
The other thing to mention about this game, it was nominated last year for the Spiel des Jahres, which is a big deal. I mean, it's like sort of the Emmy of tabletop gaming. It's a very prestigious sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Exclusive sort of award program. There's only 3 games that are nominated every year, and only 1 goes on to win. And sort of just being nominated gives it a lot of visibility and a lot of attention on, unfortunately this one didn't actually go ahead to win, but we are already seeing that the nomination itself has already elevated, the demand and visibility for it.
Yeah, we've always looked at the Spiel des Jahres as kind of like, gold, silver, and bronze type stuff with the Olympics, right? Getting nominated is just, it's a big uplift. It's a very big uplift.
For sure. So next up, we have a game called Karak, which is a competitive dungeon crawling game for younger gamers. So this is the youngest we typically go with our games. It's for ages 7 and up. So it really is meant to be for that younger age range and their families. But in this game, you explore the mysterious dungeon of Karak Castle, and it's tile by tile. You sort of lay out your path, and you encounter different monsters and collect treasure and unlock different chests and cast spells. And so it's an adventure game. There's a lot of different components to it that you uncover as you go. So there's a modular board, the tile placement mechanic, dice rolling sort of is a great way to combine both strategy and luck and keep it fresh for every time you play. So it's never the same game twice. And then lastly, we have a game called Catch the Moon, which is a dexterity stacking game with a whimsical theme. So in this game, players take turns rolling the die, and it will tell you how you need to place these ladders. So you have to either place your ladder on the stack so it's touching one other ladder, two other ladders, or be the highest point. Which seems simple enough, but as that stack keeps growing and as more and more ladders are added to it, it can shift and move, which really throws off the balance of it. If your ladder topples the structure, you receive a teardrop. You make the moon cry. And the point of the game is to end with the least amount of teardrops. So basically you play until all the teardrops are gone, and the player with the least amount is the winner of the game. So, this one is probably one of my favorites for this year. It's so simple in theory, but it's really, really hard to get good at. There's no one way to win. And it's also very scalable. So, we have it age rated for 8 and up, based on sort of the rules that we have laid out in the instruction guide. But I have a almost 5-year-old son that we enjoy playing with. It just, how high can we make the stack? How many ladders can we use? And you don't necessarily need to employ those if-then logics, but you can just play. It's so easy to just pick up and start playing.
Yeah, I love this game. I cannot say enough good things about this game. I have an original French version of this game from Bombyx from a couple of years ago, and I remember the first time we played it, we were actually at BGGCon, and a colleague of mine and I sat down and we saw what was going on. We're just kind of interested by the look of it and the feel of it. And we proceeded to play 13 games in a row because it was just so addictive. And it was like, everybody had to, like, somebody would drop something off the stack and we're like, okay, I can do this better. Like, I know I can do this better. And it became a very competitive, but super fun thing to be able to play. And some of you may be familiar with this because this had been released in the US previously, and now it's coming in under Kosmos with new cover, new feel, new look and everything. But the gameplay looks very, same, doesn't look like any of that has changed at all. This is a game that, quite frankly, like, if you were to say to me, what's one game from everything we've talked about that I want to have on display in my store, this is it. Because you're not usually going to put like games like Exit on display because they're destructible type escape rooms. You don't really want to like give away or spoil anything from those games. But this is a game that when you have it out, like you can see there with the ladders kind of stacked together, it's already a thing that when you see it, your brain optically goes, what's going on? Like, what's happening here? I need to know more about this. And it's very simple. It's very inviting in that there's only the dice and the teardrops. It's not like there's a ton of components to this game to where you're like confused about what may be going on. And it is a game that, honestly, in my opinion, because I've played this game like literally dozens, if not hundreds of times, you can teach it in a minute or less. It's like super, super fast to be able to teach. So if you guys are girls or from the retail side are looking for something to have in your store physically on display that really, really catches people's eye, this is a great, great game to have on display. The other thing that's probably good to know, just as a reminder for everybody, Thames and Kosmos is part of our demo program that we have at GTS, which is very, very simple. As a retail storefront owner, you can get one copy of a base game for 25% of SRP to be put on display or used in your library in your store. It's only brand new games, not expansion games, and the exit titles are not included in that because obviously those are destructible and one-time use things. But have had a lot of retailers, do things like Rightberg I've seen on display, Drop It I've seen on display, Legends of Andor I've seen on display, things like that. This is a great game to have on display. So just want to put my two-second plug in for that.
Yeah. And let's see. And that's it for products. But I also just wanted to sort of summarize all of the different tools and resources we have. We'll make sure that we get these links or this deck page to you. But, as I mentioned at the beginning, we've got really robust product pages that has, basically everything you want to know: images, sample lesson plans for some of our games, all the specs and dimensions, what awards it's won. If there's a video, we'll have that video linked right there. So it's a really great cheat sheet, to sort of access quickly. We have really great video download, videos available for download through our video or Vimeo page. They're also available on YouTube, though it's a little bit easier if you want to download them and use them in your store, use the Vimeo page. Our marketing toolbox includes, for a handful of games, we're building it up for the rest of the catalog slowly but surely, but we've got shelf talkers, end cap signage, social media ready images, demo sheets, email blast templates, like pretty much anything you might need to help sell these games and talk about them and teach them. And if there's anything that you ever need that we don't have yet, please feel free to reach out and we'll be happy to add that to our list and get working on it for you.
Yeah, this is a phenomenal slide. Like if there's anything to take home from this webinar, this is it, because there's a lot of people that make really good games, and then there's a lot of people that don't follow it up with a lot of support. And from the retail side, anything that you can use that's like plug and play type stuff is really helpful. The videos are great. I've seen a lot of retailers use those videos and just it has them as sizzle reels on their social media, like whether it's Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or anything like that. Really, really good available stuff to be able to use. So we'll make sure also that all these links are in the video description below. So if you're watching on YouTube, you can obviously grab those and jump to them real quickly. But definitely really, really good stuff there. Awesome.
So that wraps it up for us.
Cool. Well, thank you, Kim. I mean, you guys have a lot happening, like a lot happening, but it's all awesome stuff, right? Like I said at the beginning, whether you're a puzzle gamer, whether you're a casual gamer, whether you're a hardcore strategy gamer, like there's something there for everybody. We didn't even touch on some of the stuff that came out late last year, like Anno 1800 or The Adventures of Robin Hood, which have done extremely, extremely well. We kind of have this joke internally that Thames and Kosmos is kind of like King Midas, like everything you touch just kind of turns to gold. So
don't jinx us.
No jinxes at all. No, it's going.
We try. We do our best, and we're, like I said, we have a lot of things working in our favor. We've got great partners, we've got great suppliers, we've got a lot of experience. We've got great retailers. So it's sort of all of that makes it even a little bit more easy.
Yeah, and you guys also do quite a bit. I mean, just from that last slide, obviously, all the things that you kind of offer for retailers, you guys are very, very supportive of brick and mortar retailers. They are the backbone of everything in this industry. And that is just really, really great to see because, there are times, just to be as transparent as humanly possible, there are times in our industry where the bigger a company gets, the less they kind of tend to focus on hobby sometimes. So, and that's fine. Everyone has their own business decisions to make and everything, but it's just really nice to see, not just, one great line, multiple great lines. Like we didn't even talk about the crew. Like the crew, I'm sorry, retailers, if you're not carrying the crew in your store, you're making a huge mistake. Like it is one of the best card games you could ever have. Like I remember watching and seeing the first crew played, and the first thing in my mind was, I cannot wait to own this game. Now it's like permanently in my backpack and it goes with me wherever I go. The new one, the Crew Mission Deep Sea, has done extremely, extremely well. So I'm sure, who knows, no spoilers. You never know what may be down the road for the crew and more things there. But even on its first two iterations between the crew and the Crew Mission Deep Sea, those are great things to have in store as well. So lots of really good stuff. And Kim, thank you. Like, as always, this is not a one and done type thing. As you guys have more stuff to talk about coming out, maybe, around that advent calendar release time, maybe summertime, maybe, Q4 type stuff. I'm sure there's going to be some new things to talk about. Love to have you come back on, and really, really appreciate you taking the time to join us and talk to the retailers today.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Retailers, as a reminder, if you're awesome, and I know you're awesome because you're watching this, feel free, hit the subscribe button below, turn on your notifications. You'll get notified whenever we have new webinars that are available for you from other great publishers. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave them below in the comment section. We'll be happy to get back to you and get you all the answers you need. But until we see you next time, we hope you have a lot of success in your stores. Take care. Thanks so much.